Hi, this is Charlie Hesse from Tropical Birding, and welcome to this virtual bird tour of Thailand. I've been leading tours to Thailand for over 10 years, and a couple of years ago I decided to move here with my family, so it's a very special place for me. There's fantastic birding, it's very diverse. You can see over 500 species of birds, um, some great mammals too, and some really wonderful photo opportunities. It's got really fascinating culture, and there's some really delicious food, so I hope you enjoy it. We'll start with a map. The main tour focuses around central and northern Thailand. We start the tour in Bangkok, and we're going to drive along the Gulf of Thailand to our first site of Lempak Bia. We're going to start birding in the mangroves, where we take a boat ride along a channel. And along here we can see birds like white-breasted waterhen, and there's some nice kingfishers like black-capped kingfisher, collared kingfisher, and common kingfisher. We're going to get out at the Lempak Bia sandspit and set up our scopes and look for some rare shorebirds. This is one of our targets, the Malaysian plover, and another one, the globally threatened Chinese egret. Next, we're going to go to Pak Thale. This is a large area of salt pans. People make these big square ponds and fill them with salt water, and then they let the water evaporate, and the salt crystallizes. They scrape it into piles, and then they send it to be refined. When the water level and salt concentration reach suitable levels, they attract thousands of water birds and shorebirds. This is one bird that we can see there, the beautiful painted stork. One of the common shorebirds is the black-winged stilt, and other ones include common redshank, sanderling, greater sand plover, the black-tailed godwits, great knot, Nordmann's greenshank, which is one of the local rarities. One of the commonest birds is a redneck stint, and we have to scan through thousands of these to look for our main target, which is a spoon-billed sandpiper. Its distinctive bill shape's not always visible from every angle, but when you see it from the front, it's really quite unmistakable. This is a critically endangered bird. They're in real danger of becoming extinct, so I would go and look for them sooner rather than later. You can see in the back there's some redneck stints with a little probing feeding behavior, and in the foreground the spoon-billed sandpiper, which uses its spoon bill as like a shovel, shoveling the sediment. It's a really unique bird and a big target of the tour. Next, we're going to head up to the hills. We're going to go to Kankrachan National Park, where there's some very beautiful semi-evergreen and hill forest. There's some nice mammals there, including this dusky langur. It's got really distinctive white eye rings and a white mouth, and they have to feed on leaves. The juvenile is a very different color from the adults, and they get this really bright orange color. One of the biggest target groups are the broadbills. This is banded broadbill, black and yellow broadbill, black and red broadbill, and silver-breasted broadbill. There's 6 in total, and we've got a good chance to see a few of those, but really distinctive, wonderful birds to see. Some other good birds include crimson sunbird, and there's also a lot of nice butterflies in the area. Outside the park, some entrepreneurial individuals have set up some photographic blinds, and there's some really nice birds that come into them, and they're a wonderful opportunity to take photos. A lot of forest flycatchers include these several species of blue flycatcher. That's the Indo-Chinese blue flycatcher. Also, you can get racket-tailed tree pies. People often comment that this is that the book really doesn't do this bird justice. It's got a really beautiful velvety texture on the head and this gorgeous blue eye. One of the big targets is going to be the blue pitta. You may know pittas are extremely difficult birds to find And yeah, these photographic blinds are a wonderful opportunity to photograph this difficult bird. And there's some other great birds like green magpie and several species of laughing thrush, like the lesser necklace laughing thrush. And here are some greater necklace laughing thrushes feeding on grain. Some nice woodpeckers too, like the greater yellownape and grey-headed woodpecker. There's a lot of very difficult birds to see, which we can see from these blinds, like the slightly-legged crake. And there's several game birds like this scaly-breasted partridge. Really nice opportunity to see these feeding. They sort of scrape away the leaves to uncover the grain. Here's another partridge. This is bar-backed partridge. You can see the very distinctive patterning on the back there. This is a wild descendant of the domestic chicken. This is a red jungle fowl. And there's also some other pheasants, including Kalige pheasant. This is a male, and here's a female. And the most difficult of all is the grey peacock pheasant. It's a really tough bird, but one of the blinds has been set up and does occasionally come in. So you can see some mammals there as well. This is the lesser mouse deer. Okay, so that's Kankrachan. Next we're going to drive back through Bangkok and then up to Khao Yai National Park. You may have seen the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio, but in The Beach there was a beautiful waterfall, and that's one of the waterfalls in this national park. Some nice trails along the riversides, and there's a really beautiful lush forest. One of the big target groups in the park are the hornbills. This is great hornbill, a really majestic bird. Other large hornbill are the wreathed hornbill, and the smaller species, oriental pied hornbill. Another very special bird in the park is the Siamese fireback type of pheasant. Very difficult bird to see, but sometimes in the early morning they come out on the roadside. This is really the holy grail of Thai birding, the coral-billed ground cuckoo, a mega bird. Normally, practically impossible to see on the trails, but some Thai photographers have in the past set up some feeding sites, and we've been lucky enough to see this very rare bird. Along the trails, we can also see red-headed trogon. Another type of broadbill. This is a long-tailed broadbill. A little bit easier to see here than at Kankrachan. And white-crested laughing thrush move around in mixed flocks, sometimes with black-throated laughing thrush. This is a very special bird. This is the eared pitter, very, very rare. Many guides haven't seen this. In the last few tours, we've found some nice stakeouts for this bird, and we've been lucky enough to show this to some clients. Khao Yai is also fantastic for mammals. This is a white-handed gibbon, more often heard than seen, but sometimes when you've got a nice fruiting tree, they'll come down. A very common primate in the park are the pig-tailed macaque. You can see some young ones here playing in the river. Very playful young ones getting up to all sorts of mischief there. Some of the adults can be a bit of a problem. They sometimes are attracted to food, and they'll if you carry bags of food, they'll come and try and take it off you. This is a sign to that effect. This is me having a bit of fun. The samba deer are also quite common in the park, and also have become quite tame. And you can see those coming into the restaurant, sometimes even feeding off the table, which is not to be encouraged. This is another type of deer. You can see the red muntjac. In Khao Yai, there's also a large population of wild Asian elephants. Sometimes you get large solitary males coming out on the roads. Sometimes get cars stopping to take pictures of these. Sometimes people getting a little bit closer than they should. This is a younger male. The adolescent males get kicked out of the matriarchal herds Um, yeah, and they have to spend a solitary life. If you're very lucky, you can see the larger groups of females and young ones. There are some claylix which they come into. Yeah, but it's a real privilege. Asian elephants are much more difficult to see than African elephants, and mainly forest animals. But yeah, it's very special to see these in the wild. Okay, we're going to move on to the largest lake in Thailand now, called Bung Boraphet, a few hours drive. This was home to the white-eyed river martin, which was discovered in 1968 and last seen in about 1980, almost certainly extinct now. Um, we're going to take a boat ride on the lake with a local boatman who knows a lot of good stakeouts for birds. It's a wonderful opportunity for photography. You get quite close to birds. This is bronze-winged jacana, pheasant-tailed jacana. You can also see grey-headed swamp hens, and there's lots of species of herons and egrets. This is the yellow bittern, one of the rarer ones. You can also see pied kingfishers, and we've bird the muddy edges of the lake, looking for some other shorebirds. This is a little ringed plover. Often see raptors. This is the eastern marsh harrier. And you can see one here has kicked up a flock of gargany. Gargany winter here in large numbers, flocks of thousands. Okay, let's just have a quick look at the map again. So we've got to Bung Boraphet now. We've got a long drive to the north. And in the north, we're going to explore several mountain sites. On the way, we're going to stop at a stakeout for the endangered green peafowl. Some come out of the forest in the late afternoon into the local orchards, and here sometimes you're lucky enough to see them displaying. Okay, so we've arrived at Doyentenon. This is our hotel. It has very wonderful grounds for birding. It's located just outside Doyentenon National Park. Doyentenon is the highest mountain in Thailand, over 2,500 meters, over 8,000 feet, and it's got some really beautiful montane rainforest. It's got some really special birds up there, like this green-tailed sunbird. The local subspecies is only found on this mountain top. And some other birds we might see include chestnut-tailed minler, silver-eared laughing thrush, Himalayan shortwing, yellow-cheeked tit, and a bit lower down we might see spectacled barwing and a lot of Philoscopus warblers. This is one of the resident ones called ashy-throated warbler. Okay, we're going to go down for lunch at Mr. Deng's in Thenon Bird Center. Mr. Deng has been serving birdwatchers for decades. There's almost no birdwatchers in Thailand that don't know him. Okay, in the afternoon, we're going to go and check out some rivers and waterfalls for some special birds. One of the birds we're going to be looking for is the slaty-backed forktail. Also the white-capped water redstart and blue whistling thrush. Lower down on the mountain, there's a different type of forest, a dry deciduous forest, and there's some very special birds down there too. This is one we'll be looking for, called the blossom-headed parakeet, the black-headed woodpecker, and the collared falconet. These are wonderful little birds. It's one of the smallest raptors in the world, and you can see a pair of them preening here. We've got a very nice stakeout for them, and we almost always find them in the same spot. Down at the bottom at night, we can also go around looking for some nightjars. We've seen up to 3 species of nightjar in one spot. Okay, we're going to move on to Doi Chang Dao now. It's another one of Thailand's highest mountains. There's a temple there called Wat Tham Pa Plong, and we're going to bird the temple steps. There's 500 steps, but we take it very slowly, birding on the way. Up at the top, there's a platform, and it's almost like a canopy platform. You can look out. There's a 360-degree vista, and it's a wonderful place to set up your scopes and look for canopy birds. It's a great place to look for barbets, like this coppersmith barbet, blue-throated barbet, and blue-eared barbet. You can also see orange-bellied leaf bird. There's a trail a bit lower down with some wonderful birds like this sultan tit, orange-breasted trogon, velvet-fronted nuthatch, and also some flocking birds like greater bracket-tailed drongo and white-browed simina babbler. It's a great place for owls as well. This is a common diurnal species called the Asian barred owlet, and there's also several different nocturnal owls that we can go for looking for at night. Okay, next we're going to go to Doi Ang Khang, which is known as the coldest town in Thailand, which doesn't say much because Thailand's a pretty hot country in general, but it's got some very beautiful mountain scenery and some really nice birds. This is one of our big targets there. It's called the giant nuthatch, sort of a medium-sized bird, but yeah, many times, 2 or 3 times bigger than regular nuthatches. We can see some different woodpeckers there, like this striped-breasted woodpecker, and some other wonderful birds, including the scarlet-faced Leo cichla. It's one of my personal favorites. Down in Doi Ang Khang, there's a Royal Agricultural Project, and down there they've got lots of nice flowering trees, where you can see some sunbirds like Mrs. Gould's sunbird, and some cherry trees where they bring in birds like spot-winged grosbeak. They've got some feeders down there as well, and you can see other birds like Dorian redstart, black-breasted thrush, white-tailed robin, silver-eared mesia, and hill-blue flycatcher. Okay, we're going to go on up to another mountain called Doi Lang. Doi Lang has really revolutionized bird photography in Thailand. They've set up a lot of feeding sites up there, and there's some really wonderful photographic opportunities. One of the big targets up there is Hume's pheasant. It used to be an incredibly difficult bird to see, but now if you go up to the feeding site at dawn, you've got a very good chance to see it. There's some wonderful photographic opportunities. Sometimes they flap their wings or chase each other around on the road. Another bird that comes into this feeding site is a mountain bamboo partridge. A little bit further along, there's some feeding sites with mealworms. This is one of the species that comes in there, called the rusty-cheeked simina babbler. They use their long bill to sort of probe in crevices. Other birds that come in include white-browed laughing thrush, and some really normally very difficult to see flycatchers like white-gorgeted flycatcher, Siberian ruby throat, rufous-bellied niltava, and ultramarine flycatcher. There's some other there's some fantastic regular birding up there as well, away from the feeders, and you can see some good birds like black-throated tit, spot-breasted parrotbill, and crested finchbill, many of which reach the very limit of their distribution here. Okay, next we're going to go down to a town called Ban Taton, and we stay at a lovely resort there. It's got fantastic food. We've had great food throughout the tour, but here it's especially good. They serve things like Thai green curry, red curry, masaman curry with peanuts, and the milder tom kha gai, which is like a sort of chicken soup with coconut milk. If you don't like spicy food, there's lots of options of non-spicy dishes as well. You often see they often serve some unusual fruits which you might not have seen before, like this dragon fruit. Okay, we're going to go and bird along the river. This is the Mekok River, which is a tributary of the Mekong. One of our targets here is a small prating cole. We're also going to look for some other shorebirds along the river, like this Temminck stink. There's a lot of domestic buffaloes in the area, and sometimes you'll see other birds sort of perching on their back, like this great myna. Okay, we've almost come to the end of the main tour. We're going to drive down to the airport in Chiang Rai, and on the way we'll stop at an arboretum, where sometimes they have a Hodgson's frogmouth nest, which is a really wonderful opportunity to see this rare bird. Okay, so and from there we fly back to Bangkok, where we finish the main tour. Those that are going to join the southern tour, we're going to fly from Bangkok to southern Thailand and Phuket. And we start our birding in southern Thailand in the mangroves. at Aupangar National Park. One of our targets down there is the mangrove pitta, and we also look for the brown-winged kingfisher. Okay, we're going to drive up to Khao Sok National Park. Good place to see long-tailed macaques and several common birds like the orange-bellied flowerpecker, grey-headed canary flycatcher. It's also a good place to look for flying lizards. These sort of run up the trunk of trees and then jump off, and they spread out their sort of web membranes and glide down to another tree trunk. They also often got this little dewlap that they extend when they're displaying. Okay, we're going to go on up to the Sipanga National Park. Just outside there, there's another photography blind that we're going to visit with lots of nice birds. This is a black-crested bulbul. Get striped-throated bulbuls down there. A lot of birds coming into the water feature to bathe in the late afternoon. This is the puff-throated babbler. Other birds include the Siberian blue robin, black-naped monarch, and this beautiful orange-headed. These are normally quite a hard bird to see. But yeah, they also like to come in to bathe in the afternoon. Yeah, very beautiful bird. Not as many mammals down here, but you do get a few squirrels and also this strange-looking mammal called the tree shrew. We're going to go into the park to do some birding. Not so easy the birding down here, but when you do see something, it's normally pretty special. This is a red-bearded bee-eater. And this is the Malaysian banded pitta. It's really one of the most beautiful birds in Thailand for me, and there's a few individuals that are quite tame in the park there, so it's really a great opportunity to photograph them. Okay, we're going to head to the last side of the tour, the Krung Ching waterfall. This is a nice place to look for the banded kingfisher. A little bit of digiscope footage here. You can see it sort of lifting and dropping its crest there. It's quite a special bird. There's some different trogons down here, like the scarlet rump trogon. This is the rufous-collared kingfisher, quite a secretive rainforest kingfisher. And finally, this beautiful green broadbill. It's been quite an intense tour, so yeah, you may want to spend a few days on the beach to wind down. I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe you've been on this tour before and you're wanting to having a little nostalgic look back, or maybe it's a place you're thinking about going in the future. But thank you for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed it.